Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Steins. In the last episode, Professor, he is a doctor by the way, Professor, there we go, Professor Alexis Leskinin and Hiyajo have already begun their lecture. The lecture is now underway concerning the brain and neurons and electrical signals and hippocampuses and so on and so forth. Basically neuroscience. But seems that Leskinen wants some questions from the audience before they move on to the before he moves on to the big centerpiece of this particular seminar from the Viktor Chondria University, which is of course the how this all relates to artificial intelligence.
I'll answer as many as I can. Go ahead.
できる範囲でお答えします。どうぞ。
Many hands were raised. I could tell that there was a wide age range of people that were interested. Both young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Leskinen pointed to a questioner. And that was the first question. Oh, this was the first question, sorry. Sampling would be required when digitizing analog memories. Does that mean that any information will be lost? Let's see what the tips have to say on sampling. Basically the act of taking data at regular intervals. The professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese and began to respond in English when the speaker finished. Maybe he was able to understand Japanese, if not necessarily speak it.
Let me live that.
その質問を言い換えると、
You're talking about attempting to let
オーケストラの生演奏を WAV のデータに保存する際、生演奏のすべてを完璧に記録することはできないと。
That's a pretty good way of putting the question. Basically, some things will end up being, the speaker is asking that, pointing out that some things might be lost in the
That's
translation.
certainly a concern. In
確
fact,
かに
it's one of
そ
the
の
most
懸念はありま
pressing
す。
issues our
現
research
在
is
の研究
addressing
で
right now.
最も困難な問題の一つです。
Indeed, since you have to basically collate memory data at various intervals, there is a very good chance that I think a few things might actually fall
Now,
through
if the
the
intracerebral
cracks.
network
脳
used
内の
simple
ネットワークが
on-off tests for
神経伝
neurotransmitters
達物質
like
の
memory
オ
data,
ンオフだ
it
けで
would be easy.
つまり二進数的にデータのやり取りをしているのであれば簡単な問題でした。
Of course, the brain is a far more complex organ.
After all, that's how
そ
our
れは
computer deals.
デジタルデータと同じことだからです。
Unfortunately, intracerebral
しかし
transmission
実際には
signals are
伝
much
達
more
物質や
analog
電
than
気
they
信号
are
は脳内でアナログ的に変化することが分かっています。
Well, that's certainly interesting to
So
know.
at present, the best
この
solution
問題に関しては
is simply to store data
今の
at the
ところ
highest possible
より高いサンプリングレートでデータをサンプルする方法しか手段を持っていません。
So they're basically currently having trouble actually sampling memory data.
In musical teams, you could
音
say
楽の話で言えば
something at 48
44.1kHz よりも 48kHz 48kHz よりも 96kHz でサンプリングするといった具合です。
It's still digital data, of course,
それによって
but the information
デジタルでありながら
as close as
アナロ
possible
グ
to
データに
analog
近い情報を得ようとしています。
So they're trying to increase the quality of the memory and digital data in question. Little by little, the mood in the room was turning to disappointment. People were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. More questions came. All the questioners were skeptical of the professor's theory, and many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. Definitely a far cry from Amadeus' Hoin Kyoma. Hey, Rintaro? This was Dr. Leskinen's research, but it was also Kurisu's. I knew better than anyone that it worked, and the sight of so many people refusing to give it a chance infuriated me. Of course, well, we do have one example that we could use as the time leap machine that we could probably recreate from memory, although we probably can't since Kurisu was the one that developed it, and besides, recreating the time leap machine in the beta world line would definitely be a bad idea. Are these people even really scientists? I tried to keep myself under control and look back towards the podium. It seems that Maho is getting a little despondent. Was she mad? She certainly looked disappointed. Dr. Leskinin was very polite with the rude questioners, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was quite different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpreting too. I felt a kind of kinship with her. The Q&A session continued.
そもそもこれは医学的に無謀でしょう。デジタルデータを脳に書き戻すなんて絶対に不可能だ。正気の沙汰ではない。
Of course, in this particular case, one doesn't need a Kerr black hole in order to compress memories into data and vice versa.
サイエンス誌に掲載されたあの論文も読みましたが、にわかには信じられない。
Ah, we have a heckler. Sadly, if Kurisu Makase was here, she would show this questioner what's what. Of course, if Kurisu Makase were here, we would not currently be in the situation that we're in.
ましてや、筆頭著者が若干17歳の女性だったとあっては。
That, indeed. Who does this man think he is? That was the one thing I couldn't ignore.
あなたね。
いがあれ。
Time for us to intervene. And we finally get our first glimpse of Rintaro Okabe himself in this alternative beta world line. And right off the bat, that you will notice something. He still has his unkempt hair and his rather unkempt facial stubble, not necessarily a beard. But he is no longer wearing his trademark lab coat, because that coat is heavily identified with the identity and persona of Hoin Kyoma, the insane mad scientist. Instead, Rintaro Okabe in Steins Gate 0 is dressed in a rather quaint, simple black outfit that makes him actually seem far more normal in comparison.
あ
Don't worry, we're not objecting to you. We're objecting to the good questioner over there. The two people on the stage and the entire audience all turned towards me at once. But do we regret this? Not a chance.
やってみもしないで何がわかるって言うんだ。
It's a very good question, and it seems like we're back in top form.
最初は無理だと思われてた技術なんてこの世にいくらでもあるじゃないか。
Indeed, technologies such as cell phone remote-controlled microwaves that could be time machines, but we probably shouldn't mention that.
それを克服した研究者がいたからこそ今があるんだろう。
Indeed, Kurisu Makase's theories were actually built on the foundation of time and effort.
ただ批判するだけじゃ何も生まれない。
Rintaro has definitely come a long way from his days as Horin Kiyoma. The whole theatre went silent. But I didn't regret standing up. If anything, we can't let anyone tarnish Kurisu's memory.
あなた
And Maho finally recognizes us. On the stage, Maho Hiyajo was staring at me in shock. And as for Dr. Leskinin, I saw a flash of white teeth as our eyes met.
Awesome. It's really something.
That was fantastic, English Daru. Leskinin, you're not Daru. What were we talking about? He started to applaud. Why is he applauding? That just makes things more embarrassing. But that seems to have calmed the mood here in the seminar hall.
素晴らしい。彼はなかなか大したやつだ。ですって。
Maho translated the professor's words for me to hear.
Nonetheless, a scientist
た
must
だし
always remain composed.
科学者たるもの常に冷静でなければいけない。
Unfortunately, Maho, we are no longer following the path of the insane mad scientist.
The only time when it is
大声
possible
で怒鳴
to
って
shout
いい
is
のは
when your
実験
experiment
が
is a
成功し
success
た
and you
時
say,
の
"We did it."
We did it!
Indeed.
And that should be enough.
それだけで十分。だそうですよ。
すみません。
I lowered my head and sat down. Probably shouldn't mention the fact that we were acquainted with Kurisu, although not in this world line. I thought I was calm, but I guess I let my emotions get away from me. I hadn't grown up at all in the past 6 months. If Kurisu were here, she'd probably make fun of me again, or congratulate you for standing up for her. I can feel the rest of the audience staring coldly at me. It hurt. If I could have left, I would have wanted to, but I was too interested in hearing the rest of Dr. Leskinin's talk to move.
And anyway, moving on.
それでは皆さん、そろそろ次に。
So that was question time. Now on to the main
Of
course.
us. A round of applause,
でも
please, for
そ
our
の
great
前
friend.
に勇敢な彼に拍手をお願いします。
Pauses for audience applause, not a sausage. Oh no, please no.
Men like him are what drives
彼の
scientific
ような
progress
挑戦者
and
こそが
enact the
科学
form
を
of
進歩さ
remarkable
せ、あ
theories.
っと驚くような理論を作り上げるのです。
Well, all in the spirit of public debate.
He may even become the third
彼なら
Einstein.
きっと第3のアインシュタインになれるかもしれませんね。
The third Einstein. I wonder who was the second. Anyway, Albert Einstein, born 1879, died in 1955. A German Jew known as the father of modern physics. He developed many important theories such as the theory of general relativity and the theory of special relativity. Winner of the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics, not Nobel Peace Prize, but just the prize in general in physics, for his scientific theories. If you want to know more about the theory of general relativity and special relativity, I actually suggest you look up on Wikipedia or watch the tips in my Let's Play of Steins. These two theories, general relativity and special relativity, refer to Albert Einstein's famous equation E equals mc square. But of course, over the course of my Let's Play of Steins, we have basically been twisting Einstein's theories to breaking point, basically.
The second Einstein, of course, would
ち
be
なみ
my
に
slightly
第2の
fashion
アインシュタインはここにいるちょっと小うるさい私の助手。
Alas, poor Maho.
変なこと言うのはやめてください、教授。
The audience chuckled. Sheesh.
さて、
So he likes to make
こ
bad
こで
jokes.
私はしばらく通訳をお休みさせていただきます。これから私よりも優秀な通訳が登場します。これが私たちのチームが今最も力を入れている2つ目のプロジェクト。
Ah, now we get to the heart of the matter. This is what we're here to see.
アマデウスシステムです。
Amadeus. Is that the name of the artificial intelligence? But on the giant screen here, it's appears to be a digital avatar in the form of Maho here. Anyone can create a digital avatar and make it do stuff. When she finishes speaking, Maho walked to the back of the stage. At Dr. Leskinin's signal, the PC screen was displayed on the projector. And then I heard a voice.
皆さん、初めてお目にかかります。
In other words, this is Maho Hiyajo, and yet not Maho. The murmuring got louder than before, but it felt more uncertain than surprised. On the screen, I could see a detailed 3D model of Maho, the girl who'd just been interpreting.
ちなみにこれは映画などで有名なドリンクワークススタジオに作成してもらったモデルです。
DrinkWorks Studios, an American CG movie production company. Clearly a riff on DreamWorks Studios, the company run by, well, that, yeah, makes a lot of movies. Maho Hiyajo chimed in from the back of the stage.
声については私のボイスサンプルをデータベースにして日本の山名が作ってくれました。
Yamana, an instrument maker that was founded in the 19th century. In the 2000s, they began to develop and sell artificial voice software and DTM desktop music for software for PCs. This was computer generated, computer graphics. It's certainly looked real to me. The professor said something into the laptop's microphone. And then the 3D model of Maho Hiyajo on the screen opened its mouth.
私はヒヤジョウマホです。正確に言うなら78時間22分前のヒヤジョウマホから派生した存在ということになります。
So this digital avatar existed 78 hours and 22 minutes. If you listened carefully, you might be able to hear something slightly off. But it sounded far more human than any artificial voice I'd ever heard. And yet, this avatar here is nothing more than a digital representation of Maho herself.
先ほどから皆さんの質問を聞かせていただいていました。教授はどうして私を早く紹介しないのかととてももどかしく思っていましたよ。
Could this be nothing more than a simple digital recreation? Could this actually be a genuine AI?
以前から感じていましたが、どう うも教授は人が悪いようですね。
It's really hard to say at this point.
全くだわ。
The Maho Hiyajo on the screen spoke with a slightly irritated expression, and the Maho Hiyajo by the wall nodded in agreement. Leskinin simply smiled. What is going on here? If this is a magician's trick, it's the best I've ever seen. Or part of this was their biggest project. The rest of the audience didn't seem to have any more of a clue than I did.
皆さんの多くは疑問に思っています。人間の記憶をデータとして取り出したり、それを保存したり、さらにはそのデータを活用したり。
Well, as far as we're concerned, that is entirely possible thanks to Kurisu Makase. As for everyone else,
そ
they're
んなことが
probably
本当
still
に可能なのかと。
doubtful.
それでは私は一体何でしょうか。
Indeed, that is the question. Is Amadeus a genuine artificial intelligence, or is this some cheap digital trick?
私は78時間23分前のヒヤ城真帆の脳内から取り出された記憶を持ち、そのデータをベースにして動いているのです。
Memories. We're talking about memories here. What did she just say? The professor said something else in rapid English and asked the Maho on the screen to translate it. But she, if indeed she was the right word, hesitated and went silent. I looked at the real Maho, and she was responding exactly the same way. That's actually interesting. If this was a simple trick, a simple smoke and mirrors deception, then this digital avatar would basically respond like any other sort of digital representation. They may, no matter how they act and sound, they are basically nothing more than pre-programmed avatars, basically. And yet something is different about
教
Amadeus.
授、今のは。教授、今の発言はセクシャルハラスメントとして大学に訴えてもいいでしょうか。
Dr. Leskinin laughed cheerfully and then responded to her. The conversation was in quick English, and over half the audience couldn't understand it. The real Maho sighed and took back the microphone.
教授はですね、私に対して、いえ、私の記憶で動作しているこのアマデウスに対して質問に答えてごらんと言いました。
I'm sure everyone is certainly dying to know what that question was.
いつ頃までパパとお風呂に入っていたかとか。
Yeah, I can definitely understand how you're feeling. I think you're taking your jokes just a little bit too far there, Leskinin. But the odd thing is that the Maho, or rather the Amadeus version of Maho, is reacting and behaving the exact same way.
初恋はいつだったかとか、何でも答えられるだろうと。
If Amadeus was just a simple computer program, then the avatar would ask those questions without any sort of cognition whatsoever of Maho, concerning Maho herself. And that yields the following thought. Since this representation of Amadeus is based off of Maho's memories, could it very well be possible for the AI to develop some kind of pseudo-cognition of some kind? As embarrassing as this demonstration is,
ああ、もうそれ以上通訳しなくていいわ。
I'm feeling a kind of Andromeda effect here. For those of you who don't know what Andromeda is, I'm not referring to the actual star system, more of Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda series. I'm speaking, of course, to the about the ship itself, more specifically the Andromeda that is represented by 3 different avatars. The first is a digital hologram, the second is a avatar on a computer screen, and the third is actually an android, believe it or not. 3 representations of the same concept, and yet all 3 of them are entirely different.
恥ずかしいからやめてくれないかしら。私はそういう質問には一切答えないわよ。
I'm actually starting to doubt that all of this was pre-programmed in advance, because this is feeling somewhat too fluid to be a simple pre-lecture trick. The professor said something else, and the Maho on the screen groaned and turned away.
クレジットカードの番号なんてもっと言えません。あと1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色なんて覚えてるわけないです。
I think at this point the audience is somewhat in awe, although their confusion is probably no less dissipated. Well, what's this strange, bizarre display going on before us? It was so natural I couldn't tell at first, but this was truly something unbelievable, wasn't it? It felt very different than a typical AI, I could tell that much. It wasn't answering the questions it was given. And because they were embarrassing, really? I mean, Amadeus would certainly have Maho's memories if indeed this incarnation was constructed using Maho's actual memories, but there are 2 other things we have to consider here, such as consciousness and personality, really. Having memories is one thing, but developing consciousness and personality through those memories is something completely different. Was it pre-programmed to respond like that to certain questions for the purposes of this demonstration, or is there something else going on here? It was possible that that's all it was, but if that conversation wasn't programmed in advance, the rest of the crowd seemed to reach the same conclusion, the same conclusion I did, have to enunciate my words, and the whispers started to turn into surprised murmurs.
ねえちょっといい加減このいたずらな子供を何とかしてくれないかしら。何をしたいのか理解はできるけど、とにかく恥ずかしいわ。
So basically, it is essentially like there are 2 Maho Hiyajos in the room. One in physicality and one in artificial digital representation. The copy of Maho was complaining to the original. It felt like I was watching a pair of twin sisters talking.
いたずらな子供ではなく、レスキネン教授が面白がってなかなか説明してくれないので、代わりに私がお話しします。
I definitely think a little clarification is required at this point to help make sense of what's been going on so far. Maho walked back to the
皆さ
professor.
ん、 もうお分かりかと思いますが、アマデウスは自分が話していいこととそうでないこと、あるいは話したいことと話したくないことを自ら判断して喋っています。
You're talking about cognition. And on the wake of that thought, could Amadeus really genuinely be sentient? That is a very
私
terrifying
たちは
thought.
アマデウスにそういったプログラムを一切施していません。
So all of this is indeed happening at the spur of the moment. None of it is pre-programmed. The concept of artificial intelligence is an amazing yet terrifying thing. If one were to be so bold, one would actually say that the power of artificial intelligence could rival the power and danger of time travel. I knew
彼
it.
女は与えられた私の記憶からそれを独自に判断し、自律的にそういう行動をとっているのです。
So Amadeus is autonomous. The Maho on screen suddenly took over for her.
そしてこれは先ほどの医療分野への応用とは方向性が真逆になってしまい、研究所内でずっと議論が交わされていることですが、
Yeah, it's definitely safe to say that this is not a... I had thought also the possibility of this being an entirely... basically being nothing more than a digital recording, but well, that theory is
私は
obviously
不
out
必
the
要な情
window.
報をいつの間にか忘れてしまう。
Wait a minute. Forget? Is it even possible for an artificial intelligence to
と
forget?
いうか、記憶の引き出しから出してこられなくなるのです。皆さんと同じようにです。例えば、1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色、確かにそれを知っていたはずなのに、今は思い出せません。
So Amadeus is capable of forgetting, but wonders never cease.
そのような情報は生存していく上で必要がないからです。これも皆さんと同じです。
I think it's safe to say that Amadeus is a completely unique AI outside of the usual Hollywood tropes.
このようにアマデウスは記憶のインプットやアウトプットが人間のそれと非常に近いのです。
Genuine artificial intelligence.
これは私たちも驚くべき結果として研究を重ねている最中で、まだ詳しくは解明されていません。
I would actually be so bold as to say that Amadeus is the byproduct of that little coincidental happenstance we love to call serendipity. Much in the same, after all, nobody could have foreseen that two university kids would, in their attempt to create a cell phone remote-controlled microwave, would end up inadvertently creating a time machine. As Maho finished up, Leskinin took the microphone back. She resumed interpreting as he continued the lecture.
However, what really surprised us was that Amadeus could
さらに
intentionally lie.
私たちを驚かせたのは、アマデウスが意図して嘘をつくということ。
An AI that is capable of deception.
And not as some sort of bug or glitch.
何らかのトラブルやミスではなく、わざとそうするのです。
So you're saying that Amadeus has genuine consciousness.
Lying is really just another method
嘘
of
は
human communication.
人間が他人とコミュニケーションを取る上での一つの手法です。
That's certainly a very interesting way of putting it.
Amadeus examined the memories entered
アマデウスも
and production of
インプットされた記憶を自律的に検討
if
し
it deemed that
必要であれば自分や他人のために平気で嘘をつきます。
I am actually starting to get genuinely fascinated by all this. We're delving into really serious
誤
territory
解を
here.
招くような言い方はやめてください。嘘をつくのに平気なことなんてありません。私だって両親が咎めます。
Maho has conscience. The question is, does Amadeus?
I'm so sorry, and
Dr. Leskinin cut off. He seemed to be hesitating. Maho didn't seem especially surprised by this. Maybe she knew the reason. But the moment passed and the professor continued. And Maho translated his words like there was nothing shocking about them at all.
this has led us to some interesting
こ
conclusions.
のような検証を続けていくことで最終的に私たちは
For one, we believe it's possible for Amadeus to
アマデウス
eventually
に
possess a mind
人間
functionally
と同様の
identical
魂を
to
宿す
a
ことが
human
できるのではないかと考えています。
It seems we're really starting to delve into ghost in the shell territory. And maybe development of artificial intelligence may or may not be able to answer that eternal question pursued by scientists and philosophers. Where is the self? Does Amadeus even have a self? I was stunned. A soul? Should one of the leading brain scientists in the world really be using a word with such a vague definition?
In other words, true artificial intelligence.
これこそ本当の意味での人工知能ということになります。
An actual, genuine AI. Certainly an intriguing concept, to be sure. But there are still too many vagaries and unknowns concerning AI. Nevertheless, this would actually be a genuine scientific breakthrough. The whole hall got very quiet, and I think if Kurisu was watching this, she would be very impressed. And it was sheer chaos for a while after that, as everyone tried to debate their own personal theories with Dr. Leskinin at once. And the avatar of Amadeus just looks on. It was thanks to Izaki that I was able to get into the reception held after the ATF was over. That was the end of the seminar, and I believe it is a good time to end this episode of Let's Play Steins Gate 0. When we return, adventurers, we shall eat some of this very delicious looking food over here, probably mingle with a few of the guests, and hopefully run into either Leskinin or Maho. As always, until next we meet,